This week on Chuckload of Comics, Netflix cancels Daredevil, critics can't get enough of Into the Spiderverse, and Aquaman fans can breathe a sigh of relief. All that plus comic book reviews and nerd news right here on Chuckload of Comics. Hey guys, welcome to Chuckload of Comics. Huge week in the world of comic book movies. We're going to get into the reviews for Into the Spiderverse, Aquaman, and the new Neil Marshall's Hellboy. Before we get into that, how's it going at the big kids table, guys?
It's going great, Chuck.
It's a total upgrade. I love this seat.
We are flipping the script.
Yeah. From here, you can see everything.
You can see
all the studio
everything.
Audience.
Right?
I know. Well, we're going to get into a ton of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to unpack. Before we do, big shout out to this guy right here, Derek Danger Cooper. He is the official mixed martial artist of Chuckload of Comics.
Wait, Danger's his middle name?
Danger is his middle name. I didn't even think about that. Derek is a mixed martial artist out of the fighting city of Chicago, Illinois. This dude's badass. He's at the very top of his game. As a matter of fact, his last fight, his opponent was so scared he didn't even show up to the weigh-in. So I know what you're asking yourself. Why does a comic book show need their own official MMA fighter?
That's a great question, Chuck.
I'll tell you why. If you're thinking about leaving a negative comment on one of our YouTube videos, or perhaps maybe unsubscribing to the Chuckload of Comics YouTube show, think twice, because Derek Danger Cooper is going to become knocking on your door just to have a little talk. So, Derek, we're going to put you to work, I have a feeling, really, really soon.
Hey, you talking about my guy Charles here? I'm here to collect.
Exactly. That's. So watch out, people, before you think to leave any nasty comments on Chuckload of Comics. Speaking of kicking ass and taking names, Ralph, what's your favorite karate movie?
Oh,
Don't say Kickboxer.
Karate Kid, man.
Karate Kid. I'm so glad you
Of
answered
course.
that, because otherwise my segue to this next story wouldn't have worked at all. The stars of Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, are coming to C2E2.
Yes!
It's our C2E2 update, guys. This just dropped this week. C2E2 is happening March 22nd through the 24th here in Chicago. The Karate Kid. The crew is coming. Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do Karate is going to have a presence here in Chicago in March.
So excited about that. That's our photo op for sure this year.
I think so. We got to dress up in karate gis. Ralph, you can be the referee in the middle.
Yes.
I see a really great photo op
I know.
coming at C2E2 this year.
It's going to happen.
Have you watched Cobra Kai on YouTube yet?
No.
It is.
It's actually really good.
It's exactly what you never thought you wanted but needed in your life. It's fantastic. If you haven't watched YouTube's Cobra Kai, you got to check it out. It takes place 30 years after the big fight at the All Valley Karate Tournament, and it shows where everybody's at 30 years after Karate Kid.
Yep.
Well, so do you think in the Karate Kid series, do you think Johnny, well, maybe not the series, just the first movie, do you think maybe Johnny was the victim?
I've heard that rumor,
too.
and I kind of subscribe to it. Because,
I
Johnny
do
was just
too.
hanging around minding his own business, and then here comes Ralph Macchio, here comes Daniel, and kicks his butt in the middle of the beach party. He's new in town and just starts picking a fight with Daniel. Ralph, if you're watching this, we still love you, Daniel, but
You got to ask him at the photo op.
I think you might have been the
"Hey, man,
asshole
I
in the
think
movie."
You're the bully.
Yeah, right?
so yeah,
and
guys.
even in the TV series, he's kind of the, you got Danny as the successful car dealership owner,
Exactly.
and you got Johnny as the, low life, no job.
Oh,
Got-
man.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I wouldn't
great.
have been here if you'd have just left me alone. To be...
That's exactly what they play. They play on that in the show. It's ever since that fight, Johnny's life has gone down the toilet, and Daniel has risen to success with LaRusso Auto.
Yes.
It's great, man. If you haven't watched Cobra Kai, you have to watch it on YouTube. So, C2E2 coming this March. How's it going over there, guys? You still chilling?
Right?
He said, you better go to the show. Give everyone their props.
Right. What is that from?
I don't... It was almost a little Stan Lee-ish there. I don't know.
Okay.
Right?
All right, well, speaking of Stan Lee and speaking of comic books and comic book movies, guys, we got our first reactions, our first reviews for Aquaman and Into the Spiderverse are in. We're going to go ahead and read some. Fans of Aquaman, like I said before, can breathe a sigh of relief. The reviews for Aquaman are mostly positive. They're coming in fairly glowing. They're not all great, but mostly they're pretty damn good. We're going to read a couple of the Twitter reactions from Aquaman. The first one comes from Andrew B. Dice, who writes, Aquaman is a breathtakingly beautiful, weird, badass, fun idea of a modern superhero fantasy and makes zero apologies. Second half's one cheer laugh after another. Sweet review,
Right?
I think. People are talking a lot about how the CGI is pretty spectacular. I've heard them say that it's like Star Wars underwater. It's a nice throwback to 80s and 70s. Just fun, science fiction almost movies. The next one comes from Rogue Cheddar, who says, saw Aquaman before Thanksgiving and had a week to think about it. It's flawed but fun. Momoa and Patrick Wilson are absolute gems. Most of all, the movie is just flat out insane. I can't believe how big, creative, and crazy it gets. Gotta see it again.
Wow.
Another spectacular review.
Right?
The last one comes... Oh,
Actually, this last one comes from B.A. in the house. It says here, Aquaman was an aquatic adventure beyond all others. I left wet in my pants. I'll go watch it. I'll go watch it over and over again.
Wow, I didn't even know BA in the house had a Twitter handle, but I guess he does. The last one comes from, help me pronounce this, Jim Vegvoda.
That sounds
Writes, Aquaman is good. It's certainly greater than the sum of its parts. It's chock full of ridiculous elements, but it's also inherently bonkers that you'd have to be an utter killjoy not to get caught up in it. Caught up in it? Maybe like a fishing net joke there from Jim. If it's not, it should have been. So, do these reviews raise your excitement level at all for Aquaman, you guys?
Yeah, dude, it looks very well done. I don't know. I feel like sometimes some of the face stuff with the water around it looks a little weird, but it's
I agree.
a first stab at something new, you know?
Yeah.
It still looks really good.
Yeah, the last trailer that they dropped like 2 weeks ago, or last week, was definitely the best trailer we've seen for this movie so
lots
far.
Of Willem Dafoe.
We finally get to see Willem Dafoe as kind of his mentor. I forget his name, but Willem Dafoe looks great. Not 100% sold on the CGI,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be big. If you can read these are just 3 of the Twitter reviews. There's a ton out there, so I implore you to get on Twitter, check out the reviews for yourself, and go see it. You can see it a week early, actually. If you go to Atom Tickets, you can see it a whole week early, I think December 11th. Still plenty of tickets for the early release of Aquaman. Just go to Atom Tickets. It's playing nationwide a week early.
So cool.
Now, one movie that is absolutely taking the critics by storm is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. It is currently sitting at a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's awesome.
On 42 plus critics reviews. That means upwards of 50 critics have seen it, and every single one of them gives it a thumbs up. No one has given this a bad review. People are losing their minds for this movie. Have you guys read any of the Twitter reviews for this yet? The embargo just lifted today.
Yes, I'm so excited for this movie, even
Right.
more so than definitely more so than Aquaman. But-
Yeah, I mean both. I feel
Yeah.
like even the Spider-Man, I don't know, just the look of it is great. It's like an old
Yeah.
comic book. It's
I know,
beautiful.
complete with like word bubbles and cells.
Yeah.
If you stuck around for the end of Venom, they actually showed 10 full minutes of the film.
Oh,
The post-credit
which was
sequence was a
hilarious.
10-minute
It
clip
was. It was
of
great.
Into the Spider-Verse, and if you weren't hooked before, I was totally hooked on it after I saw that nice long clip with Miles and Peter running through the city. We're going to read some of the Twitter reviews for you real quick. Again, there's a million of them out there. I implore you to go check them out for yourself. But this first one comes from Mikey Talks. He says, I can finally talk about this. Spider-Verse is hands down the best Spider-Man movie ever made, and it's one of the best comic book films, live action or animated, of all time.
Wow. That's a
Best
strong-
comic book film of all time.
That's a
is
strong
what Mikey said.
statement,
That's
man.
insane. They're all that good. If you go on and look, everybody's just freaking out about how amazing this movie is. Next one comes from Shiraz Faruqi, who writes, Spider-Verse will be the #1 superhero movie of 2018 for a lot of fans. This movie is very, very special. Animation is insanely unique, voice acting is superb, and the emotion and heart in this story is a cut above the rest. Very, very special. A lot of capital letters in Shiraz Faruqi's tweet there. That means he really liked it. The last one comes from Sassy Mamane LA, who writes, so we're all ignoring the Into the Spider-Verse embargo now? That's funny, Sassy. She says, okay, here goes. All caps. It is amazing and easily one of the best Marvel movies to date, animated and live action. This is all I will say for now. She loves it. Everybody's freaking out about this movie. I know you guys are excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to add a little something there, but
No Twitter reactions from BA in the house about wetting his pants.
No.
Well, it's important to note that the movie hasn't even come out yet. They've already announced not only a sequel, but a spin-off movie.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they've already announced Into the Spider-Verse 2. The movie hasn't even come out yet.
Right?
And they've already announced the sequel, and they're going to do a spin-off, which is going to be a Spider-Gwen female-oriented spin-off movie.
That's so cool. Well,
Which
we've already
is-
seen that Spider-Gwen is in this movie.
Yes,
So
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I
awesome.
hope they do one of the Spider-Man Noir. I want to get more Nick Cage as
Right.
Spider-Man.
You got Spider-Man Noir, you got Spider-Ham in it.
Yep.
You've got Gwen Stacy, you've got Miles Morales, you got Peter Parker. There's going to be just a ton of different multiverse Spider-Man
It's going to be great.
in this movie. And I mean, there's things, I can kind of see what people are saying, because there's things you can do in an animated feature that you can't do in a live action. Even with all the CG in the world. If you watch the trailers for this movie, there's shots in there that you just could never, ever do. And I think that's why people are saying it's the best Spider-Man movie, because it's got to be the closest thing to a live-action comic book you can
Yeah.
do.
Well, they're saying it's the best Marvel movie, which
know.
blows my mind. I mean, you just had Infinity War come out this year, which was by far my favorite Marvel movie, and now people are saying that this overtakes that.
Which is
That's
so
amazing.
badass. Because, I mean, I was kind of worried about, is this movie going to be able to make money in that crazy week of death
Right.
around Disney, around Christmas time, where there's just all these major blockbusters coming out in one 7-day period. This gives me a lot of hope that maybe the word of mouth will spread a little bit, and people will start getting out of the theater to see Spider-Verse, because it comes out a week before Aquaman and Mary Poppins and Bumblebee. So it's got about like 5 to 7 days of legs.
Man,
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sony.
right?
That movie's gonna
Sony,
be great.
Sony's having the best year I think Sony's ever had. Venom
Right.
has made more money than Justice League, more money than Wonder Woman, almost as much money as Spider-Man Homecoming. It's made more money than any other Spider-Man before it for a movie without Spider-Man in it. It's
Right?
a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man, and it's made more money than all the Spider-Man movies.
And
so
very poorly reviewed by critics. Now,
Right.
fans loved it, but
Yep.
yeah, that blows my mind.
So Sony's having one hell of a year. Guys, get on Twitter, check out these reactions for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and go see it. Go see it a week before all these other crazy Christmas movies come out. So on to another movie. Hellboy.
Woohoo!
This week, we saw a new image in Empire magazine for the new Neil Marshall Hellboy movie starring David Harbour, the very gritty R-rated Hellboy movie. This is the image right here. You can see it on the screen where you see David Harbour running through the hallway with his shirt wide open. He's got a little fuzz on his chest.
Gotta have his shirt open.
Looking real scary in this picture, man. It's kind of a creepy. It's going to be an R-rated Hellboy movie. Co-written by, who was it? Damn it. See, this is why I need to have these things in my notes.
I don't know. It's not Mike Mignola.
Yeah, Mike
Oh,
Mignola.
really?
That's
Oh,
where I was getting
sweet.
it. Thank you,
Yeah,
Shauna.
no problem.
But here's the thing,
The
guys.
creator of Hellboy.
They just did their first test screenings for Hellboy, and they are not good.
Uh-oh. Really?
Yes, test screenings have happened. Again, this is not critics' screenings. These are not critics' reviews. These are just they test the movie with the audience to see if they need to make any fine tuning, any
Sure.
tweaks, and people are saying it's not a good movie.
Oh, no.
They're not digging. I'm going to read some of the tweets that people have said about the new Neil Marshall Hellboy movie. Daniel RPK says the reactions from test screenings for Hellboy are pretty bad, which is a shame. I was really looking forward to it. That's kind of a bummer. These aren't actual tweets from people who have seen it. These are people who have spoken to people who have seen it.
Interesting.
Skylar HXC writes, Daniel heard right. I've also heard bad things about this film. Harbour is apparently pretty decent, though. So it sounds like David Harbour's doing a really good job, but the movie itself
Has no legs.
not looking too great. One last one comes from The Comics Kid, who writes, Harbour tries his best, but the dialogue, the villain, and the story seems to be lacking.
Man.
I know. What a buzzkill.
Wait, but you said that these aren't from direct people that's seen it. I would say let's not jump ship right away. The images look great, man, and I feel like that guy's a great actor. Let's just still keep the faith. You know?
See, way
the
to
faith.
bring out the silver lining, Ralph. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's try and wait for somebody who actually saw it.
Because
or-
really, I mean, that's why they do these test screenings to see, okay,
sure.
how can we right the ship?
Right.
But I'm looking at Comics Kids comment, and if it's flawed at the very, if everything about it is flawed, it's kind of hard to. You can't just go in and do reshoots and reshoot the entire film. I'm not being super negative because I am going to go see it. I'm super excited about it. I woke up to this and I saw it and I was instantly pretty bummed.
Man.
But
we just went from these awesome reviews to
Let's not worry about what Comic Kid is saying and wait for what Comic Man is going to say.
That's right. That's right. So, don't lose too much heart. I mean, like Ralph, you were saying, the images still look great. The movie is still 6 months away. It doesn't even come out till April. So don't freak out yet. Because we've been to these test screenings before. The movies are very unfinished. There's giant chunks of the film that they don't even show you. It's just the initial cut. It's the initial edit. The CGI is never completed. There's lots of reasons why you could hate a test screening, but then wind up absolutely loving the movie. We saw a test screening of Bohemian Rhapsody. None of the CGI was done. The Live Aid was just this giant green screen concert. It was pretty wild. It's like 5 people standing around just waving at the stage.
You see the repairman's in the back eating nachos, waiting to clean
exactly. So don't freak out, but things don't look too great at this point for Hellboy.
No.
Speaking of things not going well this week, Netflix canceled what I think is its best running series to date. Of course, we're talking about Daredevil.
Oh, man.
Daredevil got the axe from Netflix after season 3, which a lot of people are saying is the best season of Daredevil we've ever had. Shauna, you love season 3 of Daredevil.
Season 3. That was I agree with that statement. That was definitely my favorite season. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is the best.
That's the saddest part about this, is that we're not going to see D'Onofrio as Kingpin again.
See, now that blows. Because I thought if they canceled Daredevil, then it's going to go to the Disney platform or something, because Marvel owns all these properties, right?
Right.
But now you're saying, okay, Disney has Daredevil, but they can't use Vincent D'Onofrio. They can't use Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
They can't use these same characters that were created by Netflix.
Right. See,
true, that sucks.
Disney did come out and say that you will see the character of Daredevil again probably in the MCU. I think they actually said that they do have plans to put Daredevil into the MCU,
Ben
and I'm
Affleck
sure
again.
maybe they'll bring Ben Affleck back.
You can only hope.
Oh, fingers
but
crossed.
like Shauna was saying, Netflix actually owns the rights to this incarnation of Daredevil. So we will not see D'Onofrio as Kingpin again. We will not see Charlie Cox as Daredevil. It's important to note the show itself is not going to be kicked off of Netflix. You can still watch season 1, 2, and 3. Just like you can still watch seasons 1 of 2 of Luke Cage and season 1 and 2 of Iron Fist if you feel like watching those. Because those got canceled just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But everybody thought, okay, well, Daredevil's safe because it's critically beloved. It's making a ton of money. But yeah, Daredevil's gone away. They are keeping the previously announced Jessica Jones and Punisher,
which is crazy to me. So it's like, are those just automatically yanked after season 2 and 3?
They haven't announced it, but you can pretty much see the writing on the wall. They're not going to make any more after the 2019 seasons of Punisher, and that sucks too because John Bernthal's Punisher was such spectacular casting, and so he's going to go away too.
Yeah, he looked the part. He looked awesome.
I know.
So it's a total bummer, man.
Why do you got to end the show with 2 really bad bummy topics?
I should have ended the show with Spiderverse. Damn it. But, William Zabka and Ralph Macchio are coming to see Tuitus. There's something to get excited about.
Maybe Disney and Marvel sent MMA fighter of their own to go tell Netflix, hey, you got to stop using our property.
They sent over
other plans.
Derek Danger Cooper from the fighting city of Chicago, Illinois, all the way up to Hollywood.
That their henchmen look like Stan Lee, but big old built dudes, but have like the mustache and the glasses.
Hey, the pals over at Disney say you can't use our property no more. Excelsior, motherfucker.
Excelsior. After they get their butt kicked. Excelsior.
Yeah, take that, true believer. Well, guys, on that note, Shauna, really quick before we go, we kind of forgot to do comic book reviews. What are your comic book picks this week? I see Hellboy up there.
This week we've got Hellboy back with the 1956 Hellboy in the BPRD.
Crushed it. One of my favorite books of the week is the new Hellboy. Uncanny X-Men.
What else we got over here?
Uncanny X-Men and the new Fantastic Four issue number 3. Fantastic Four is absolutely crushing it. Uncanny X-Men, guys, if you're not on board, it's a weekly comic for the first 12 issues. Check it out. Yeah. What's going on in Uncanny X-Men is uncanny. It's crazy.
Zing.
And Hellboy's back in what I think is going to be a really important, pivotal run of Hellboy. If you haven't been watching reading the BPRD Hellboys, what they're doing is every story arc is a different year in the early days of the BPRD.
Yeah, so
it's-
Hellboy's like a teenager.
Yeah, it's Hellboy's
Which is
kind
cool.
of first missions with the BPRDs. First time actually joining the gang and going out and exploring supernatural phenomenon.
It's very cool.
So definitely
Is this
check
before or after Abe Sapien?
out. Before.
Before, yep.
It's all it's Hellboy's first missions.
And it takes place each like a different year. I think the first one was 1953,
I'm gonna start at 53 or maybe
50.
52.
maybe even 52. So
Yeah.
we're up to 56. So,
Yep.
but they're not coming out very often.
Yeah, they're kind of taking their time with them, but definitely check it out because you can just jump right on right now with issue number 1 of 1956. I highly advise that you do. Well, all right, guys, that's pretty much our show for the week. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button. Join the Chuckload of Comics family. Thanks for being at the big kid table, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. It was a great time.
I've never sat over here in the captain's
guys
chair
like
before. I'm kind of digging it. So, guys, we'll see you here next Sunday with comic book reviews, movie news, all the things happening in the world of fandom every week here on Sunday's Chuckload of... Man, I just can't talk right now. So we're going to go and wrap it up, guys. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you here next Sunday. Yep.